You're telling me with Akil Thomas coming up and showing, hey, look at the little boost of energy I'm given.
Mm-hmm. Say what I think you're gonna say. Do it.
Well, we need to be doing that with every single kid down there.
Yeah. Why is Fagemo down there scoring 41 goals?
Why are we not rotating all of this young energy throughout the line?
This is LA Kings Fan Talk with Rodney, Rob, Darren, Mike, and Joe.
All right, here we go on a rainy night in SoCal. The Kings have clinched a playoff spot, and although we don't know who the Kings will face in the first round, do they have what it takes to make a deep playoff run this year? Darren, what say you?
I hope so. Um, Honestly, the way the Kings started this season, I would have said they're a top five team. But for whatever reason, we lost that mojo. And I don't know if they think they can just flick a switch and they're going to be right back to that play. But if they play like they did against Anaheim and a lot of these games recently, I just don't know. Are we going to be able to beat McDavid and Draisaitl if we play them? Or are we going to play the Stars and get our, butts kicked like we have all season? I like to think that there is another level that we can get to, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Kings can win a couple rounds. But that's if they find that level. Who knows?
A new level of confidence and power?
Yeah, something,
Yeah.
something.
Rob, what do you think?
Optimistically, I think. I mean, I think we can. I think we have the depth of scoring still.
Yeah,
We're still good defensively. Um, it's all going to depend on matchups, and that's where that's where it starts becoming a little pessimistic, right?
Right.
As we talk right now, we're lined up with the Oilers again. Um, can we stand up to them after losing 2 years in a row? I think normal people will say no. Um, but with Pierre Dubois, this is what we signed him for, is for this specific depth. It's going to come down to, can he get going? He's kind of been going. The last couple months have been a lot better than his first couple months. Um, but now Byfield has gone cold.
yeah,
If we're firing on all cylinders, we can play with anybody. We could beat anybody in a 7 game series. But
for
now you
sure.
got to ask yourself as a fan, if you've been watching the whole season, uh, are we can we fire on all cylinders? Right now, there's a few cylinders missing, I think. So can we? Yes. Will we? Is a different story. So
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, for me, it's like, do we have the leadership and the team toughness? I can just see the Oilers bullying us once again with the current personnel we have.
Yeah, I think for me, this season has been a little disappointing in the sense that we didn't take another step forward from the last two seasons, where we were taking baby steps between the last two seasons, but we were moving forward. You could tell we were getting better, and it doesn't feel like this season we got better. I think we're by points we're going to finish worse than we did last season, but even just by play and like I think this team is not as good as last year's team for some reason, whether that's Dubois or the depth or health or whatever it is, just doesn't feel as good as last year's team. But the crazy thing is we could probably get further than last year's team just because we do have some guys who have room to go up. So I don't know. It feels weird that we took this sidestep kind of.
So, you think the Kings are good enough defensively?
Yeah, I don't see why not. I mean, we still one of the best teams, and I know we're the best or second best by like expected goals, but I don't know what our goals per game stat is right now. I mean, it's probably just going to depend on if Talbot and or Riddick can play up to the level of our defense. So
The way I'm looking at it is last year, what's different this year than last year going into the playoffs is not only the Dubois thing, but the Byfield thing. Byfield, I don't know if he's going to get to 20, right? He's stuck at 19, but he's a legitimate 50-point scorer now. We got Trevor Moore, who is a 30-goal scorer and surpassed the 50-point mark. We got three guys over 70 points, and Deneau and Dubois are both, in the 40s. That's kind of underachieving, right? But Deneau, I'm not worried about because he is a shutdown playoff kind of guy. I really, really like his game in the playoffs.
yeah,
Um, like I said, having Trevor Moore, Byfield, and Dubois, I think going into the playoffs this year, that's what makes us a little different. And the health, right? Don't forget Arvidsson's now, I think, has played enough games now that his feet are going just in time for the playoffs.
yeah.
So, but as we speak, right, Kopitar's didn't play. Is that for real? What's going on with him?
I think it's maintenance stuff. I think they're
I
just
hope it's
resting him.
maintenance stuff. So
Good.
my son's at the game. My son went to
Yeah,
the game. He was in the third row right behind one of the nets. He says he saw Kopitar wincing. He
I
actually
mean,
texted me during the game. He goes, "Hey, is Kopitar hurt?" What are you talking about? He goes, "Oh, okay." But then,
yeah,
so I don't know. I hope not.
Yeah, I think Kopi said that he wanted to get some rest before the playoffs, but he also didn't want to go into the playoffs cold, so I could see him playing one of these last two games coming up here. But if he wants to take both off, take them both off.
yeah.
Play some of the
We
kids, see
always
what
talk
we got.
about we always talk about Kopitar needing his load managed a little bit. So
Right?
it's not how you want to see it done, but
All right,
worst
so I
case
got a
it could
question
happen.
for Rob. Let's start with you. Does Akil Thomas make the opening night roster for game one in the playoffs?
Yes, I yes. This can't believe you're asking that right now because that's a can of worms. That is a whole can of worms of
That's why I'm asking
So
it.
who.
so so here's the dilemma. You have, is it two spots technically between Grunstrom, Thomas, Laferriere, and technically Kaliev. Am I missing someone in there?
Well,
One of the
and
Turcotte.
defensemen.
Turcotte is the fifth.
and that
Okay.
also depends. Are we playing 11-7 in the playoffs, or are we playing
Right.
12-6? You know, so
Exactly. So it's like you have two spots. You have Dubois' right side. If the lines were to shake out, Kopitar, Kempe, Byfield, uh, Moore, Deneau, Arvidsson, Fiala, Dubois, X, and then on the left side of Lazat and Lewis. So you have two spots for five players, and it's like, who do you go there? I assume Grunstrom is going to be one of them.
Why do you assume that?
I don't know, he's done it before. They trust him in the playoffs. I could see him being probably the 12th forward of like, if he doesn't play well, he's going to get scratched. But I would bet if he's healthy and plays well in Ontario, they'll probably put him right back in the lineup for the playoffs.
for
And then,
what?
so now
For
it's
because they trust him, or because he brings a little bit of a physical element?
both, both. And then you have between on the right side of Dubois, you have Turcotte, Akil Thomas, and Laferriere. And so basically, if Akil Thomas is playing, either Grunstrom sitting or Laferriere sitting. And I don't think either is a problem necessarily. I could see them rotating all three of those guys.
Yeah.
But
How small do we want to go in the playoffs, especially if we're playing the Oilers? Do we want to put a bunch of tiny guys in there, like Turcotte?
Well, that's why I wouldn't mind. I don't mind Akil Thomas and LaFerriere going out there. They're hard skaters. They're tough kids.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
they seem to have a playoff motor
Right, they
as
play
as
physical.
opposed
Yeah.
to Kaliev, or
Man, I wish Akil was just a little bigger. He's a
yeah.
little guy, but he does play it pretty tough. I like the way he plays.
Do you think
Yeah.
he could sing like Bruno Mars?
Because he looks like him and he's about the same
Because he
height. Is
looks
that what you're
just like
saying?
him? Yeah. Yeah.
There's probably a clip of him doing it, so we can probably find that. Rodney, put that in here if we
Right.
find it.
So, what do you think about our special teams? Power play and a
Jeez.
penalty kill? Especially if we're playing the Oilers. We don't want to take any penalties, correct?
Well, if it's anything like last year's playoffs, it's like so much for playoff hockey that the refs just called it like regular season and gave them power play after power play after power play. It was sickening. Um,
Yeah.
our penalty kill is a lot better this year than it was last year, but
It's really good on paper. Like on paper,
right.
I'm like, well, we're one of the best penalty kill teams in the league. But if you watch them play, I hate watching it. Just yeah, I hate watching
Yeah.
it. It's we let the team come in the zone and do pretty much whatever they want, and just try to clog up the front of the
So
crease.
before we go any further with the playoff stuff, let's try to identify the possibilities here, right? We're guessing Edmonton, but Vegas with them coming back from a 3-0 lead and winning today, they're only a point behind us. If we drop
The wild card too.
to wild card two, do we have a chance at wild card one?
Not
Yes, we
if
do.
we're no, because we would have to. I think
We
we would
have a
have to like
chance
win
at it.
out. Well, all right. I don't think it's likely because that would mean we would have to drop points, and then that means that probably I don't know what Nashville's last game looks like because I think they have
Right, but
one
I'm
left.
saying if we win and tie the last two games, that gives
True,
us 100 points. And if
but I think
Predators
we
lose
have
their
the
last game,
tiebreaker. Don't we have the tiebreaker over Vegas? So if we only get 3 points, then we're ahead of them we're even with them if they win out, right?
do we have the tiebreaker?
I thought we did. That's why everyone
Okay,
said we were
so then
set to
that's
be
then
third.
then we can't get then
Wild card
then we
one.
can't then.
Yeah.
Okay, so that
I
puts
thought
us
that's what it was, but
then that puts us wild card two then, and there's no chance. Yeah, so it's Stars then.
pretty much, yeah.
Okay, so it's the Stars or the Oilers.
Yeah,
Those are the only two choices,
for sure.
and
Seemingly.
just it's do you want to play the team that absolutely owns us this year regular season, or do you want to play the team that absolutely owns us in the playoffs the last two seasons? It's like
That is the
Jesus
question.
Christ.
That is the question. I mean, Dallas just looks so good this year.
Yeah.
Like if we were to play them, I would almost want to completely change our lines up and just show them completely different lines than what we did throughout the year because it was like
So
Something didn't work.
I-
Yeah.
boys against men.
what we talked about our strength of depth, right? And Dallas,
Match
they
of
kind
that.
of match us with the depth. That's why we struggle so much. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys over 60 points. Their depth of scoring is just off the charts. That what maybe we do match up a little better against the Oilers.
I think we do.
If Deneau and Kopitar can shut down, not shut down, but contain. They're big guys. That's why it's so important that third line. And if is it going to be Dubois, Fiala?
I mean, that's what it's. Well, I guess it's been Lazat and Fiala, right? Last few
Right.
games. But, I mean, I would assume they're going to put Dubois on that third line. I don't think they're going to.
You don't think he'll be on the fourth line?
I would assume not. I would hope not. I don't think that's productive in any way, but
I mean, it
That's
hurts our
pretty
team
crazy.
less.
That's a pretty crazy third line money wise.
yeah.
There's a chance. We got a chance.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it sounds like I'm trying to be negative, but I'm trying to be a little realistic of like, just feels like we took a sidestep. And I think we are a really good team if we can flick that switch and play like we did the first, 30 games of the year, or whatever it was, till that Islanders game, where we were.
That seems like so long ago. Man,
I know.
those
Yeah,
are
it
good
does.
times. We're like, we're one of the best teams in the league. This is amazing.
Exactly. And And I don't know. I think we could get there. I mean, but they just got to capture whatever that mojo was and channel it back in. Maybe they need to stop dancing after games and focus on winning.
So am I the only one that thinks we need more team toughness for the playoffs? Are you guys
No,
like,
not at all. But there's nothing we could do about it right now.
we can't? But so speaking of that, if we lose in the first round against this year, is that it for Blake, or does he have a longer leash because our owners aren't really into hockey? Do they give him a longer leash? What do you think?
I would probably say that's it for him because he doesn't have the contract extension. And I would want them to try a different system. I know the 1-3-1 has worked for us in the regular season, but it's clearly not working once we get past the regular season. And maybe that's just because we played the Oilers and they have two of the best 4 players in the world.
Yeah.
But try something different. If we keep Blake, we probably need to get either if Hiller has a different system, and I don't know if we're keeping him or not, but bring in a coach with a different system, something that's not so trappy, that lets players play more aggressive. And I wonder if that would lead to more of the play that you guys are talking about, where we're more aggressive and physical, because we're not checking someone in the corner because my position is actually at the blue line, setting up the 1 and the 1-3-1.
I think it has a lot more to do with personnel. We just don't have those type of players on our team right now.
Yeah, I could see that.
I'm not going to comment on Rob Blake.
My complaint with Blake this season is we didn't pick a lane and go this year. We just stood pat, and it's like, it feels.
What are you talking about? They picked the PLD lane.
But I'm talking about at the deadline. We didn't sell, we didn't buy, and it's like we just stood pat, and it's like, either think your team is good and bring players in, or don't think your team is going to do anything and ship off your expiring contracts. I would have been fine with either way. I would have defended it and been fine with it. I don't like standing still. I don't think that was the right decision. I know money was tight, but there's ways around that. Vegas and other teams have shown there's ways around those complications. Like, you just find a way. And I don't think he made the right choice in standing still.
All right, so going into the playoffs right now, who's at the top of the game? We got like Fiala playing great.
Fiala's hot.
Keel's looking good. Defensively, our guys are playing pretty strong defensively. What other forwards are hot right now? Not too many?
Not too many. To call them hot, no.
Yeah, no.
And then cold, we got Byfield.
Yeah,
Byfield's a cold one.
Yeah.
PLD when he's not getting wide open nets.
I feel like Danault needs another one of those drive to the net goals where he banks in a 4th rebound again.
Right.
He needs something like that. But
so it sounds like what we need to do is jump on here and do a playoff preview once we know for sure who we're playing. Yeah, that's gonna be the one. That'll be a good show. All right, Kings fans, that's our show for today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and slewfoot that notification bell. Until next time, stay classy. Go Kings, go!
Go Kings.